I'm okay with that. We'll give everyone else a,
Big problem is usually. So. they're looking
Yeah.
at spray.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a close one.
Well, she was right outside his office and I can't get rid of me. I'll just ask me. Questions.
Doesn't she hold that little sign that says? "Supplements"?
Shall
Shop.
me too.
Surprised you two haven't met.
So I'm relatively new. You too?
Yeah, I got a license. Through like December and January. Yeah. Beginning of December. Yeah, so I remember December 1st, I came into the office. And, well, most of my training is always.
So I the leveler. The leveler.
Oh, real estate sign. Yeah, yeah, so, I partnered with my second listing. And so she has her own. Kid. Yeah, so there's a. So I can return this.
Yeah, I used to install signs. And then one time I went in March. I had to clear away snow. And then try to hammer in a stake, because we have these ones where you put a stake in the ground and then they just a sign slid on top of it. And I got it maybe in 4 inches. And it was like a 12-inch stake.
Oh,
And I just gave up. The agent I was working with was like, hey, you sent me this picture of the sign and it looks awful. And I was like, yeah, thing's not going in any deeper. We ended up pulling it out. The stake was no longer straight, it was bent
oh my God.
because the ground was so frozen. And I was like, I am never putting in another sign because I spent probably an hour and a half total because it was like the drive there, trying to do it, and then the drive back. And I did an awful job.
Oh my goodness.
And so I started to call around and found someone that would install them for $40. Like that is the best use of $40 that I have ever heard. And never have I done a yard sign since. So, all right, should we get going with just us? Let's do it. I want to get to the meat and potatoes here. So, tell me something good that happened this week. Something you learned, a big off, or a win.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I had that life coach section.
Oh, yeah.
April. And she, we spent a lot of time talking about blocks, the mental blocks that we set, before us.
Mhm.
To keep us from moving forward because we fear moving forward. So she taught me some techniques about identifying the blocks and changing the negative messages that you have about yourself, by using proof statements. Like, okay, what proof do I have that I really stink at this? And so what happens is usually if it's like a self-repeating thing, usually your proofs won't support that negative thought. So, so that way you can cancel out that negative thought and replace it with positive. So it was a good session.
Yeah. A good book to read. Shoot, now I'm forgetting which one it is. The Mountain of Youth? Nope. Left me. But one of the questions that made me think of it, that you're supposed to ask yourself is this true? And the answer is usually not. It's like, I can't do this because of this. And it's like, was that even true? No, no, it's not. So,
Well, especially because like a lot of your messages, there's some experiments, some authority. Something like that, might put that thought, like, you're spilling things or you're. And he's using extremes, and so those kind of carry those along for the ride of our own lives.
yep. Yep, for sure. Yeah, Tony Robbins always says things that happen, they're neither good nor bad. We just assign labels to them. Something happens, it just happens. Not good, it's not bad. We just interpret it as good or bad. So I like that. Okay, Rise. We are wrapping up. We have one more class. We are doing open houses tomorrow. Who's doing it? I already forget because I was already looking at next month. So if there's any classes that you either missed or feel like I need to double down on this, good to come to a second version of it, but I want to get you into action. So coming up, we're gonna do excuse me. Buyer's week will be the 1st of June. Then we have listing week, but this is going to be a little bit different because we are canceling the Wednesday and Friday classes because we are going to do a class called Win with Sellers. So 100% mark down, I think it's June 11th. That is Win with Sellers. You should come to this. It is going to be probably an all-day class in the large training room, and it will go over the entire life cycle of working with a seller. It is not geared towards new agents. It is geared towards existing good agents and how to level up. So you being new, this is just going to speed the whole process along. So that will be awesome. June 11th, yeah, Wednesday. I might have a slide. I don't think I do yet, but put it on your calendar. We're gonna be talking about it a whole bunch. Clay Winder teaches it. He's probably one of the biggest listing agents in the brokerage. Maybe he's sold more than anyone else in the brokerage listing wise. Maybe not, but if not, he's close by. So coming up, so definitely put that on your calendar and come to these classes as needed. Coming trainings, next week, we are gonna do something called the Content Diamond. This is something that I learned at Mega Camp years and years ago. And I've started to implement it and I really enjoy it. It's an easy way to do it and to come up with tons and tons of content as we've been talking about social media and things like that. So we'll talk about how we can do that in practice, come up with content for social medias, emails, everything else you're doing. Then we are going to talk about top lead gen sources and systems. So if you need to add more lead gen, what should you be doing and how can you level that up? And then on June 19th, it is Juneteenth. So we will be closed that day. So no, nothing on June 19th. So go celebrate the end of slavery.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So.
I wish it had a better name for like when it was, but it's just like a random. I don't know. I have to Google it every time. That's how all the holidays we have are. It's like, what day is Memorial Day? It's a Monday. Okay, got a script challenge. We can workshop this all together because there's just a few of us. So you're chatting with a potential buyer and they say, I need to save more money for a down payment before I buy. What do you do next? Okay, let's talk about it. Pulse. Okay, Michelle, I need to save more money before I buy. Tell me more.
There are certain loans that you can get that
Okay.
And
Yeah,
and also sometimes that, right now, in this market, you can also ask the seller. With closing costs and so on and so forth. And that, so you get a bigger dollar.
I love it. It's hard to use closing costs for down payment. But other than that, you were spot on. John, do you have anything different?
Cameron, so you feel that you need to save more money?
Uh-huh.
How much, if I can ask, how much money do you have saved up right now?
$7,000.
$7,000. What kind of place are you looking for? How much
I
do you need to spend?
well, it's just like something like starter, like a townhome would probably be great.
Mhm.
So like 23%. So
Well, have you ever heard of the chip program?
No, tell me about that.
Well, just like Michelle was saying. Very low down, 3% now. Get an FHA loan, it's an insured loan by the US government. Um, And so they typically, since the loan is guaranteed, then lenders kind of loosen their requirements a little bit so that you can come in with a much smaller down payment.
Hmm.
And so if we investigate these options, it should end that along your way. This is ready to go. You're always gonna be chasing your tail.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, with this, I always like to start with a question, because some people think you have to have 20% down. Other think like 10, 15, 5 even. Some might know 3.5. Most people don't realize that there's a 0% down option. There's also like grants that are out there that, to be honest, I know nothing about any of them, but lenders do. And so, I would start with like, how much do you think you need to have? And then, yeah, just kind of like right where John was, how much do you have of that? Like, if you think you have to have 20% down and and they're like, oh, well, I only have 10% down for what I want. You know what? You can go get a great house with that. Yeah. And if they're like, I have 3,000 and I want to buy a $300,000 condo, we're not quite there yet for any of the down payments, but maybe there's a grant, maybe there's a something. I think it's great to chat with a lender.
Mhm.
So you can be like, you know what, let's chat with the lender, because down payment is one piece of the equation. You need to make sure that you earn enough and have few debts. So it's called debt to income ratio. And then good credit. So those are kind of the key 3 ingredients that you need to qualify for a loan. And so we're just talking about down payment. Let's talk to the lender to make sure we're good on everything. So if we need to tweak or change anything from the others, we can do that as you're saving up your down payment. And then they can talk to you about grants and other things, and maybe we can find a 0 down, blah, 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 blah. So easy. You guys got this. Neither of your answers was wrong or bad.
I'm like talking to somebody in my mind.
Well, and that's why we do these here. So hopefully this helps you remember. Okay, I want to talk about MOFIRs. Have you guys heard about these yet? Make offers for immediate response is what it stands for. So the definition here, MOFIRs are hyper-focused execution of the 2 basic principles of the lead generation marketing. By the way, this is from a book. As explained in Shift, the first principles of lead generation is that your message must match your market. This means that what attracted people during a hot market won't have the same stickiness in one that is slowed down. The second principle of lead generation messaging is that your message must make an offer in order to get a response. So we need to match the market and make an offer that will get a response. Let me give you an example of exactly this going on. It was very popular like 3, 4 years ago to do what is called a golden letter. Where you send a letter to people and you say, I have a buyer looking in your area. Have you ever thought of selling? Text me. That was it. That was the whole letter. Seemed like the only thing that you could do to make it better or worse was if you hand addressed the envelopes or not. If you hand addressed it, it almost didn't matter what the letter was. If there was a QR code, if there was a scan this, if there was a website, or if it was just text me or call me, like it all got kind of the same response. You send out 300 letters, 6 people would respond to you, and one person would list with you. It was a very easy math equation. Well, I tried this 2 weeks ago. I sent out 350 letters, and guess how many responses I got?
Here.
0. What changed in 4 years? Yep, the market has changed. And so the message 3, 4 years ago was, ooh, if you can get me a buyer, I can probably sell this for top dollar. Now it's, I don't know if I want to sell my house. I don't know if I can move. I don't know. Like there's all these uncertainties. So the message didn't match. And the offer probably wasn't big enough to have a response. So let's build a new one for our current market and get a good message. Step number 1 in building a MOFIR is you need to identify a common problem. So I'm going to give an example of a red sign one that does not work anymore, by the way. So don't use this. But this was very, very common like a decade ago. Good deals are often gone when you, the buyer, calls the agent. So we used to get sign calls all the time. People would be like, I'm standing in front of 123 Main Street. Is it still available? The answer was usually, no, it's not. So that was a problem that people had. So tell me, what are some of the common problems right now that, let's start with buyers. What are the common problems that buyers are facing?
High interest rates.
Interest rates. What else? What do you mean by that?
Price.
So like high prices?
Mhm.
Yeah, those kind of coupled together would be. What else? Do they have any other problems?
Well. No, they got. Right now, they, depending on when they buy, they free rates. So
Yeah,
it doesn't seem. They'd be extremely. At the time. More rates. Larger.
yeah, that's a big problem with sellers right now. If you have a low rate, why would you go buy in a high rate? You could double or triple your payment and your house is not getting 2 or 3 times better. That could be a big issue. What other issues do sellers face?
No.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put the market. I feel like we're in this very weird market. I have heard of multiple offer situations. I look at the MLS and I see homes selling in 3 days, 7 days, stuff like that. And then we have other listings that have been on the market for 90 days before they get an offer. Like it's like almost like the tale of 2 markets. It's like you either listed right and you sell it super quickly, or you didn't and it's gonna take you 3, 4 months to sell the property. And it's hard to know, right, John? He's literally sitting in this with the listing is, he listed it, didn't get any showings. We did a CMA and I was like, you look like you're priced right, but the market is saying you're not. So the weirdest thing ever, it's a weird market out there. Any other problems that sellers are facing?
Oh, yeah. What are they gonna get into after they sell their house?
Yeah, they turn into buyers, right? So it's kind of this one, but in a whole different way, like. Where do they go? So we could go in this and we could dive a little bit deeper into each of these. There's probably like 10 or 20 that we could list out, or we could talk about specific people. Because these are like, assuming that people don't have cash. What are the problems that cash buyers have right now? Like, that's a whole different set of problems. What about investors? What about the first-time home buyer? So we could drill down into a specific persona, and they're gonna have a whole different set of problems. But we could list them out just like this, and we're gonna do this in a minute all together. So number 2 is you need to figure out how to solve this problem. So for example, with the Red Sign team, when buyers were calling and the home was already sold or under contract, we said we can send you homes the day they are listed and also off-market homes. And so that's a simple solution. No longer are you gonna be driving around trying to find a house. We are gonna send you homes. Super easy. So let's talk about a couple of quick solves for some of these. Solve for interest rates for buyers. Or even sellers. So if we decided that interest rates is the big thing, we solve for that.
Find programs that they can improve. Again.
Tell me more.
So some of the lenders, like the 2-1 buy downs, things of that nature. Look for many alternative programs to be followed.
Michelle, have you heard of a 2-1 buy down? Okay.
Fields have great rates, you know?
Yep. What else? Seller financing. Yeah, I don't know why. It is amazing for everyone involved. The biggest problem is it's a little bit harder for the seller to go qualify for their next house. There's a bunch of different ways around that, but that is the biggest problem. Because the seller still has a loan. If they own their house free and clear, then there are very few problems. Except for they don't get all of that cash because they're the bank, but they actually earn more money in the long term. And it makes sense for most people. So it's a little bit harder of a sell, but if there are seller financing deals out there. So that's a whole nother option.
So does a lottery system help?
Nope, not at all. Which is why it's so awesome, is because literally I could come to you and say, what's your current house payment? I will buy your house from you. I'll give you $50,000 today. Then I'll pay you $1,500 every single month. And then in 5 years, I'll pay off the rest of the balance. How does that sound to you? And if I stop making my payment, you keep that 50,000 I gave you, plus all of the payments that you had the whole time, and then you take the house back and you sell it again. And now I could refinance at any point and pay you off, or I could sell the house and that would also pay you off, and then you pay off your mortgage. That's not a bad deal, right? You're getting $400.
You know, really, very.
Yep. Well, so here's where all the problems happen is so, let's say your home is worth $500,000, just to make our math work out, and I'm gonna do a 10% down payment, so $50,000 to you. Well, I have an agent and you have an agent. So now there's 6% that goes away to the agent. So technically, you're only getting 4% of the down payment because the rest is going to pay agents. So you get $20,000 and you have to go buy your next house, which is probably not enough. But now if I said I have 20,000 or I have 20% down, so I'm gonna give you $100,000, you pay the agents the 6%, so you're left with 14%. Then you can go use that as your down payment and qualify and close on your new house. Then I'm also paying you $400 a month. So that kind of solves for this. You now have a higher payment. Well, you have 400 extra dollars coming in every single month that you could put against your new payment. So there's good and bad. I really like it. I don't think enough people are okay with how it's structured and some of the unknowns, but there's so many good around it that I think it's worth looking into. Or at least being open to the option. So we have 3 solutions. There's probably more, but we had 3 easy ones we came up with. So now what you do is you take the solutions and you package them up into something. So this is how Red Sign did it. So people calling on the sign, they would need to send them houses very quickly, and they would say, oh, we're going to send a hot sheet. We're going to network with agents. We're going to share the listing with them, and we're going to call it the See It First program. So rather than missing out on good deals, you are going to see it first. Very simple program, which is basically hot sheets, networking with agents, and sharing listings within the team. It's the See It First program. Now, this doesn't work very well anymore because there's too many listings. So if we were to take these 3 things, we could call them the creative financing program or something. This is where ChatGPT could come in. Yes. But we can still create a program with it. We're gonna have ChatGPT help us later as we build out a real one. So how do you package it up? What's the process? What do you call it? Then you need to integrate this MOFIR into your business. So with the Red Sign team, they said, buyers, you must have an appointment to be part of the See It First program. And that was how we get you set up. You come to the office, we ask you a lot of questions, we answer all your questions, and then you are set up on the See It First program. For us and this interest rate thing, this might be come in and meet with us with our lender. So we can analyze the difference for 2-1 buy downs. Do we need to send you to a new build? Or are you going to do seller financing? So then we can think, what do we need to change in your business to integrate it? Then you market this. So you need some sort of scripts for calls, emails, or texts, or follow-ups, whatever that looks like. So this is how the Red Sign team integrated it. Is every time, I mean, it was in all of their marketing, but every time a lead reached out and the house was under contract, or they wanted or expressed interest in a home that was under contract, we would say, we run the See It First program here. You've probably heard of it. I don't know why, but that was part of the script. No one had ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Basically, this is an aggressive way to get you a good deal. Each day, I'll scour the market, finding the best deals. I'll look through foreclosures, short sales, HUD homes, blah, 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 blah. If anything matches the criteria that we set up for you, I will send it to you that day. And most times we'll be able to see it that same day. It's an aggressive way to find a great deal. Does that sound like something that would help you in the home search? If they said yes, they were ready to buy. If they said no, they did not like the idea of having an aggressive way. They were looky-loos, and we didn't want to set appointments with them anyway. We were going to put them on a follow-up campaign and reach out to them later. If they said yes, then it says, great, to get set up, I need to meet with you in my office. We'll pull up homes on the TV, on the big screen, narrow down what you're looking for, and get you started. When are you able to meet? Super easy, right? This was the easiest way to set appointments ever. So I want to do the same thing, but for open house leads. Because if a buyer goes to an open house and meets you, what are the chances that they've already gone to another open house or they will go to another open house after you?
80%.
I would say it's very, very high. So if we have open houses that we are doing, there could be some sort of pitch that we make similar to that see it first script that will lock them down as our clients. Now, I am going into this with zero ideas on purpose because I want to co-create this with you so that you have awesome scripts to leave with. So we're going to assume that these open house leads are all buyers. And I don't care if they own a home or not, but they're like not the neighbors coming in. They don't have agents. These are the leads that we could actually convert. Okay. So what are the problems for open house leads?
No, first off, they don't know if they can afford them.
What they want? What they should. What else? What other problems do they have? Why are they going to an open house? Let's talk about like the psyche of an open house person for a minute. Imagine that you wanted to buy a home right now, but you weren't a licensed agent. How would you get into houses? You'd go to open houses. So there might be that limiting sort of like just seeing homes.
Does he call the number on the sign?
You call a listing agent. Have you guys ever gone to open houses before? What made you go to open a house before?
My ex. Yeah, at the time, you know, she would like to go like on Saturday. Look at, you know, structure.
So you have, what I want to call this. The spouse is ready. Convincing the other.
Yeah. Any bills.
How come you went?
Yes.
How come you didn't buy a house?
We only do bills that I can afford. Have to go.
Hmm. What other problems might these people have? Like, think about some of the open houses and the people that you've met. What problems do they have? What is stopping them from getting in a home now? Probably have that same list, right? The interest rates. But they're obviously interested. They're stopping by a home. So whether it's just them trying to convince their spouse, whether they're excited to go get a house, they want one, maybe they can't qualify. What's anything else?
Um,
just gonna put it on here. We listed out here with us. So. What would get, wait. Let's narrow this down to one thing. Kind of looking at an idea, if you were to help a buyer overcome one of these problems, which do you think would have like the best impact or biggest impact for them or your business?
Motivation.
What do you mean by that?
Is there motivation to do?
So like, would you help them find their motivation or what does that look like?
Depends on the person.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one. Because what problem does the motivate? What is the problem of motivation? Is that a problem? Because we're trying to solve a problem here. Maybe that's our problem, is we don't know their motivation.
Yeah.
But maybe that's
I
something,
mean, if they really want to buy a house, they will buy a house.
yeah.
So it's like, understand, well, like we get this list of needs. Get this list of needs. And it just sounds like we have to like re-qualify them to see if they're gonna be a legitimate need. Something that we're gonna want.
Let me go. Other problem they have, they go to open houses. They're gonna be in a bunch of different agents marketing. Imagine if every agent marketed like we tell you guys to. You go to an open house, you get a text message, you get an email, you're on a campaign. You go look at a house on a website, you're on a whole nother person's campaign, you're getting calls, you're getting emails, you're getting texts, and you're getting it from 5 to 10 different agents. Yeah,
So you're like,
yeah. Which is why I want to solve this, because if you can say something to them in the open house, that's basically like, don't worry about any other agents, I got you. Like, I'll help you see homes. You know, if you qualify, I can help you, like, let's solve whatever problem you have, and I am going to help you solve that. I will guide you through that. Then leads are gonna be excited when you call because you're solving their problem that they have. And maybe it is just these other buyer problems, right? The interest rate. What else did we say? Affordability.
Mhm.
So. Well, when are we gonna solve? And then how are we gonna do that?
well, obviously, I'm not going to really support them. There are people that send to.
Yeah.
Send me the-
Yeah, you would just integrate that into your business, like. You meet with a lender. Yeah,
What do they want? What do they buy? Do they want to buy a house? That's really what it comes down to a small family.
mhm,
Is gonna want different things for their house than a empty nester.
yeah,
Motivation. That's a little hard. Um, It's not like we could sprinkle it, see us, I mean, here you go. So just really, the motivation would be to find a house they get excited. Because if they get excited for a house, they want that. Seeing houses, that was easy. It's kind of like you saw what they want. And that's how they do their houses they want to see. Actually, this motivation.
Commitment, wait, where?
See,
This is ready, committed. Vinci, the other. John's ex-wife wanted to buy a house, he didn't.
oh. Not responsible for divorce. But if one house is, frankly, if my husband is driving me around to be house, to look at houses, then honestly, it's the other way around. Like driving me around to see houses. He's either humoring me or he's actually interested, he's just waiting for the one,
Yeah,
hence motivation.
so. As you go through all of these, what we want to be able to say is something like, I help people who have this problem. And then they're gonna think, I fit into that. So like if we were to talk affordability, I help people who
They can't afford it.
think they can't afford a home. And then the next line would be, so that they come to open houses and dream and wish they could buy it, but never do. So imagine if that was the pitch. We're gonna solve the affordability, which is a combination of interest rates and price. Right? The three things to make a house more affordable to someone is have them get a lower interest rate, lower the price, or help them make more money. We're probably not gonna do that third one. But we have a chance to get them a lower priced home, or maybe even help them with the interest rates, depending if we do like a 2-1 buy down, builder incentive, seller finance kind of an idea like we're talking about.
So we can call our program seriously, Mission Real Possible.
Mission real possible.
Mission Real Possible, and that would resonate with, you know, a lot of clients that, you know, they've seen the Mission Impossible movies and all that, so. I think, Tom Cruise, just, hey, I'm looking for the rock star, and he's gonna make this possible.
So, Michelle, imagine if you would have gone to an open house. Like you did with this model home. And you liked it, but you didn't have enough yard. And imagine the agent says, you know what, I actually help people who think they can't afford what they want. So that they don't ever end up pulling the trigger on a house because it's not what they're hoping for. I have this program that's called Mission Real Possible, whatever we decide to call it. And it could help people like you get in the house that they actually want. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in?
Yeah.
Do you think if you'd said something like that, you would have an easier time to get a hold of these people after the open house? Do you think that would draw them in? Like if I were to say that to a lead at an open house, would they say something like, how do I become a part of that program? Would it pique their interest enough?
I think if they're serious.
Yeah. So how do we make that happen? How do we help them afford the house that they actually want?
I think it'd be good to have like, you know, like early on, you were saying, hey, you know, financing, it's not my area. It's someone to work with.
Yep.
I think that how they like to kind of form alliance with the, you know, the other professionals, so you get a finance person. Kind of, you kind of, you know, Team Cameron of Mission Real Possible.
Yep. So number one, it's me. You should meet with my lender to really see where things are at and all of our options.
Technically, you can't. give
Yes.
It's illegal.
Yes, you should meet with a lender. I'll send you the first one. If you don't like him or her, I have a couple others that I can send you. Or here's 3 we can have you shop against that all have different programs. So we could set this up however would make the most sense for us and to stay legal. Number 2. Let's analyze what that means. And weigh our options. Number 3. Let's go find the house that worked with the lender. And needs and wants. That sound like a decent game plan?
Yeah.
Seems so generic and easy.
It is. Not like there's any.
So, wait, before we dive too much into this, let me talk about the Red Sign See It First program for a second. Again, this was someone called off of a house and it was under contract. You call a sign and the listing agent answers and said, oh, I'm sorry, we've already sold that. We have an accepted offer. Normal agents would try to set an appointment. Hey, if you like, I could help you find a home before it's sold like this. Let's meet in my office. Then what would that agent do? They would set them up on a hot sheet and send them houses. And when anything met their criteria, they would go out and see it. Normal agent things. Now, the Red Sign version differed 0% from that. It just had a great pitch to it. The pitch is, we run the See It First program. It's an aggressive way to find you a great deal. Does that sound like something that you want? Like, that pitch is way better than let me go find you a house. So if we can throw and wrap around a pitch around our program, we don't really have to do anything. This is an awesome plan for every single buyer, right? You should meet with a lender. We should then analyze your options and figure out how you can do it. And then we're going to find you the right house based off of what the lender told us with our few options that we know that we have. And we're going to make sure it meets your needs and then hopefully meets all of your wants as well. Sound like a plan for every single buyer? Yep. But the difference is if we have a great pitch to it, a great offering, then that can have an outsized response. Like the See It First program, an aggressive way to find a good deal. So we might need a different name, John. You like Mission Possible? Maybe it needs a tagline. Maybe that's what's missing.
You think you can?
So we have a simple way to solve the problem. Package it up as a system. So then you take this and you literally make a buyer presentation around this thing. So we are going to make the whole process around this. You could even get the lender involved. Have them reach out and say, hey, I'm the lender for the Mission Real Possible program. I work at this lender. John told me to give you a call to talk about how we can help you get into the house that you want and afford it. Let's get you pre-approved. Maybe you don't even call it pre-approved. Maybe you get it Ethan Hunt. I don't know. Something you could go along that whole theme or however, but we're gonna make it a whole thing. Then when you're like, then you call them after the lender and you say, hey, I spoke to the lender. It sounds like we have some great options. And so I want to lay them all out and tell you our next steps for the game plan. Because with the lender and the few other options that we have to get you money, it sounds like we have 3 or 4 great options to get you the house that you like that you can afford. So let's go meet and see what, if we can find any houses that meet your criteria and the criteria that we need for the lender, so we can go shopping. And then maybe it's like, instead of living close by, you move just a little further away. You know, that's why Eagle Mountain grew so much. All of the houses in Lehigh were too much money, so people are like, oh, you know what? I'll go that extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes to Eagle Mountain and get the house that I want. I'm okay driving a little bit more just for that. And so maybe it's just playing with the wants and the needs, but a good agent's gonna do that same thing anyway. We're just calling it something. We're wrapping marketing and an offering around it. So besides the open house, or what do you need to change in your business to do this? This is like the buyer presentation. Like, how do you wrap it all up? How do you make it? So that's what it's all about. So then how do you market it? What would be your pitch? I want to hear this. You're in an open house. Someone walks through and they're like, I really like this house. I don't really know if I can afford it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, ding, ding, ding. This is the chance to use the program I just created, my MOFIR. How do you do it? What's your pitch?
You know. So if they say, I don't know. Reaction will be, will that be ever?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what every good agent would be like, have you talked to a lender? Like, maybe you can. But how do you pitch your program to lock them down as a client? So even if they go to 5 other open houses that day, they're like, I can't wait till that agent calls me about that program. Like, that's giving me hope. That's solving my problem. What's your pitch?
Yeah.
Surprised John's not jumping.
Yeah.
You're usually the wordsmith ready to go. They're in Spanish. You just got to translate and make sure it's grammatically correct.
Yeah. That's it, you sound like a soccer match. You know, I think that, probably the way to market it would be like, it's.
And now there's a whole way to market this. Like, you could send it out in emails, you could do Facebook ads, you can do all of those other marketing. But I want to talk just like, you're in an open house and you meet someone and you think this would resonate with them. So you need like a 10-second, 15-second pitch to get them excited.
So basically, for a buyer like that, we need to come up with 15 seconds to get paid.
Yeah. You two, out of everyone in this new agent thing, I would think would be the best at creating all of this.
Just thinking.
They need to think anyway, so it's good timing.
But they need to think.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
It's getting 26.
awesome.
Be excluded.
Maybe I'll call him and see if he wants to.
Count the words.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll call him.
I'm gonna tell her to leave it at, leave it at the 50-50. And then if he decides he wants it at 70-30, it's not that big of a difference. Then tell me.
Hey, did you talk to Dave Cramps?
Okay,
His payment just today got paid out wrong.
what's wrong with it?
It should have been a 70-30 and not a 50-50.
Okay.
All right. What do you have? The author and the talker.
You can bring it down to your level.
Ooh. Okay.
Start talking about it. Let's start analyzing what you want. And what you can afford.
Yeah.
And then-
Well, and you don't even, so you don't even have to, you don't have to give them all of the steps. You can just give them the pitch of like, the whole goal here is to get you the house that you want in a price that you can afford. So like,
It doesn't have to be a dream, it's real.
yep,
You touch it.
yep. Yeah, I run this program that's specifically designed for people like you that are trying to get a home and it seems unrealistic. So what I do is I have this process to help you get qualified and figure out how to afford something so it's not just a dream.
So they-
But you don't? I've never seen it.
Said, I know it. I have issues of watching people suffer, die, and
Yeah.
it's really not. Have you ever seen it
Which one?
like this? The music is stupendous. Everybody's life sucks, and then they die.
Oh,
That's why it's called The Miserable.
yeah. Russell Crowe started singing. Oh,
No, it's singers. He's actually writing with whole range of stuff. But if you actually go to the play. Singers. That's fine.
So you guys are literally just the pitch away.
Yeah.
From having something.
Cause I was thinking, okay, so if I, if I talk to, this potential buyer, like throwing up all these objections about, well, pricey, I mean, for me, if I want to give somebody hope, in a sense, I would want to be the person to say, well, you know what? Something to the effect of, this is your fortunate day because you're talking to the number one guy of conviction, real possibility, who is going to work with you every step of the way to show you that it is possible for you to take.
Yeah. Well, and it's more than just like hope, because it's you have a program, which makes it sound like you know something that every agent doesn't. Because if you have a program, they could go to 10 other open houses that day and they think, I need to go talk to John because he has a program for me. People like me that want a house like that. How do I go make all of that happen? And that's the secret sauce of it. And then you're just going to run what almost every agent should do. Hey, go get qualified with my lender. Let's look at all the options that they gave you. And then let's find a house. And are we going to do a 2-1 buy down? Are we going to go find a new construction? Are we going to do seller financing? Do you just actually qualify and you didn't know it? And then let's get your wants and needs written out, your motivation, and let's go shop. Like a good agent is doing that. You just have a program that they can go through. So if you can quickly pitch what the program is and how they can be a part of it, or why they should be a part of it, then they will see value in you that is bigger than any other agent. What's cool about this is when you end your buyer consultation, almost like this analyze, which is your buyer consultation, you will end with, by the way, to put me to work and get started on this program, you need to sign this buyer broker agreement. This is agreement between us that we are working together. And I'm your agent, you're my buyer. That means I'm gonna put effort into you to help solve your problems and that you're gonna pay me for it when we find this house. And you know what they say when you slide that over and it's 3%? Sounds cheap. Let's do this. Because your value now seems greater than 3%. It's bigger than other agents out there because you are showing that value. So like even Jen asked you, Michelle, like, what's your value? And it's like, how do I phrase that? Like, what do I say? I'm like, I'm new, I don't know these things. But if you're like, oh, I have this program that helps people specifically like you solve this specific problem that you have, like, done, let's do that. So your homework then, I would figure out, you can do this over and over again. So think, where are you gonna get leads? Like if open houses are your thing, great, let's go figure out all the problems that open house people have. And maybe this is not you thinking of the problems. Maybe this is like, you go run some open houses and you go figure out the problems that these people have. Like maybe you're getting leads, and as you're getting their leads, you ask them a whole bunch of questions. And you start to figure out the common themes and problems that people are having. Maybe you're a door knocker or a FISBO or expireds, right? You could call the expireds and start to figure out their problems that they have. And then you wrap a program around it. And so then when you call, you're not like every other agent saying, hey, saw your home didn't sell, I'm the guy for your job. You can say, hey, I'm sorry you didn't sell. I actually have a program specifically to our homes that did not sell the last time with their last agent. It's designed to get you top dollar in the current market through however I do that. All of a sudden, you have differentiated yourself, and you can do the same thing as every other agent because you have just designed it in a different way. Make sense? Go apply this. Because the other way that you can do this is you can look for a generic problem that someone has, like, I just graduated from college, I have a decent job, and I don't know what to do with my life and how do I get a house, because I would love to do that. You can figure out how do you help that person. Hey, I just got married. I'm going from a single income to dual incomes. And now we have way more money. We can probably qualify for a home because we haven't messed it up with buying all these stupid cars or having expensive kids or doing all of these crazy things. So we can probably afford a house now. How do we get into our starter home now before we have all of these expenses? And you can design like solutions for problems that specific people have. Oh no, I just got a divorce, blah, blah, blah. How do you solve for some of those? Like you can be the solution to specific problems, or you can go find specific people or specific lead sources and throw out your program that you have to help them and solve their problem.
Cameron, what are the, builder, wasn't there an acronym called the 4Ds?
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. There's death, divorce, desk for job change, diapers for babies, deployment. I hear some people say dogs. I don't think that's as big of a reason to move, but some people. Degrees, the wife. What are some of the others that I've heard? Downsizing. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Go solve people's problems and pitch it as a program that you have the solution for. Build out an offer. Okay.
Good.
Thanks, guys. You guys.